Okay, everybody, I believe you have survived waiting for us this long. How awesome everybody is. I just have to say that we have been working out some kinks here, and we are a hop, skip, and away from being with you, Tanya, today. Get a few things taken care of here. Give us a moment, and we're going to be ready to go. Straight from Australia. We've got, well, you know what? Let's just do this. I know you're out there somewhere. I know you're out there somewhere. I just know you're, because we were working on the kinks, so we got everything taken care of, right? You're nodding your head, but I don't hear you speaking.
All sorted. Oh, sorry. Meditating. No.
No.
Everything
We've
is
been
sorted.
having fun. Tanya's been waiting for us. She's been so awesome waiting for us. We are.
Thank you.
I love doing live. I really do, you guys. I want you to know I do. Tanya, I see you. Thank you for being here. We're rolling through some music and getting things situated. I'm trying to get your comments up there. But I tell you this much. I've been waiting to do this today. And I hope you enjoy the show, everybody. Here we go. We're getting everything situated. And Tanya, I didn't get my hair cut. So I hope you don't mind. We are going to bring cameras on in a minute, but we were just, like I said, a few hiccups at the beginning, and I love it because we love thing we got. That. Okay, you guys are awesome. You guys are too awesome. Okay, all right. We got everything in line here. We're good. All right, we're good. We're good. Love it. How you doing, my friend?
Hello.
You're here.
I'm here, finally.
We did it, huh? We go like, finally we did it. Hey, you know what? Water separates us, land separates us, but we made this happen today. Let me go ahead and shut this off. So I'm just going to go straight and shut it off. Yes, we did.
I did say here I'm not very technical, so if there's some issues, I apologize.
We had this happen just right before we were going to go on, everyone. And as a team, because anybody that comes on the show, as it is, as I tell my children, as a family, we are a team. And so we work it out together, and we worked it out together. And here we are. We worked it out. And so I just laugh when these things pop up and happen. And I'm going to, you're getting some love here from Tanya, and I want to go back here. I'm going to go back here for a second because I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anybody's comments that were here. Does that say hand pick waving? I like that. Is that a smile too? Yeah, that's a smile in there. I'm trying to make sure I get everything. And everybody's comments up, and then we're going to go ahead and, what does that say? Okay. What does that say, Tanya? I should be on this other screen over here, and I can see everything. Let me get this out of the way. Here we go. Now I can see better. Ooh, I can see it now. Okay. I got too many screens in here. All right. We weren't planning to start the show this way, but we started it, and we're ready to go. And you got to do me a favor. Yeah, I saw this coming, and here it is. I see it already popping up on the screen. You have a very beautiful name. So
Thank you.
I'm going to put this up on the screen because it's like they know my show notes where I'm going with this. Here it is. So how did you get your beautiful name, and how is it pronounced?
It's Shiralee. It's actually an Aboriginal name, and my father named me because I'm a twin. So my mother said, I'll name one, you can name the other. So he's Australian. He was Australian. He's passed away now, and he named me Shiralee. And it's after a book and a movie.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to say a book. Yeah. So have you ever seen the famous book that you were named after?
I've got the book. I've actually got the book. I haven't read the book.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I have seen the movie, but a long, long time ago. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's about a father and daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. going for, in Australia, Aboriginals go walkabout, which means they can just go and travel and do things and probably gather themselves and hunt and gather spiritually as well. So he takes his daughter on a walkabout, and a Shiralee is something that you hold, like the most important things to you. So if you're going to go for walkabout, what do you need? Matches, like, you need the things that are going to make you safe. So a Shiralee's like that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now that, because as you can tell, it was a request from someone. They wanted to talk about your name. Now that we've done that, I get to now torture you with this. You did a show with me when we started on Instagram, my daughters and myself on Instagram with this show back in 2020, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
Might have been 2020. And the show that you did with me, it was amazing. So many people were impressed by it. But your story since then, you're not the same person. Even just talking to you, you're a totally different person. What is there about you now that is different from when you were telling your story of surviving or trying to survive abuse back then? What is it about you now that you would say that is different?
That's an interesting question. I would say I've healed a lot more. I've let go of a lot more. I moved countries. So I'm in a totally different environment where I feel safer.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel safe where I was. So I actually left, the country, my birth country, to really break free, because I wasn't, even with all the protection from the police, I wasn't really protected. So for me to be able to feel really safe and to just 100% break free from this person's grasp, I left the country. So I've settled in, and I can walk the streets and not feel someone's watching me or following me, So that's, I think, what's happened for me.
You feel safer now than you did back then?
So much safer. Yeah. So much safer.
Let's do a little timeline of you dealing with this narcissist. Now, by the way, everybody, these shows normally, as I said on Friday when I did it with Julie Murphy, who is going to be one of our consultants on the channel. She's a therapist out of the UK. She's also going to have her own podcast show here on our podcast network. As I said on Friday, just like we're doing now, this normally is done without an audience, but we've decided to be here and do this raw and live with you. So we hope you enjoy it. What we're going to do here is kind of take you on a timeline of what Shiralee has experienced. But bear with us, because we're not going to be able to cram everything in, but there's a huge learning lesson that can be there if you are walking the same path that she has gone herself. Okay. So you met someone who proved to be not safe. Matter of fact, I think you described them as, and correct me if I say this wrong, antisocial. He was diagnosed, as it were, right? How was it?
Yeah. So this isn't just my opinion that he's a narcissist. This is a clinical diagnosis. He's actually a psychopath, sociopath. So that's in court documents and through a mental health facility in New Zealand. So he is a sociopath.
And your birth country, the country of your birth, is what again?
New Zealand.
But now you had to literally escape from there, as it were. You've had, for your safety, and it's not just you. You have two children, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Two
daughters.
Two daughters. Yeah. You had to escape from your homeland, and now you live in Australia, correct? If I remember.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, I had to do that.
Why did you have to do that? And give a little background so that others who are going through it can have a sense of knowing that, well, eventually recovery is possible.
I had to leave because I was being okay. I mean, I married this man. We met in our 20s and had 2 children. And very early on, I knew that there was a problem, but I didn't realize that it was going to escalate and become just a living nightmare. I knew he was dishonest. So, to break it down about how I got here to get safe is, the psychological violence, the threats, the stalking that the police knew about but weren't addressing because it's hard work for them. They want to do more when they kill you. Oh, I won't say kill you, but they want to do more, or they can do more when they really physically hurt you. Even though I had protection orders in place, he was still contacting me through fake accounts, and it was just so draining. And it's hard to break free when you're constantly being stalked. So I had to make the decision to leave. And it was a hard decision because my eldest daughter decided to stay. She
was how old at the time?
Well, she probably was about 18 or 18.
Okay.
And she had a boyfriend and she was studying. So she decided she wanted to stay, and which I didn't want, but, I had to let her do what she wanted to do. But my youngest came with me because she was 16. So as soon as we could leave the country legally without permission, we left as soon as she was basically 16, just a few weeks before she was 16, because you can't leave, because he had put blocks on the girls' passports in the past. So as soon as we were in a position where we could legally do it, we left. Yeah.
Your life with him, if you had to give a description of that life, what would that description sound like? Trying to give a picture of what life was like when you were in New Zealand with him.
I'd say I like a horror movie, or just complete sadness, and chaos. Yeah, but I'd say for me it was like a horror movie.
Financially, what was it like?
Everything. Financially, I had to be in control of everything, because this is a person that would, because my ex-husband's also a sociopath. He's not just a narcissist, so he was a pathological liar, and he was also a kleptomaniac. And he would lose a job every 6 months and not always tell me. So 1 minute would be paid weekly, then he'd get a new job, then it's monthly, then it's fortnightly, and then it was just chaotic financially.
All over the place.
All over the place. You never knew what was going on, and he'd often lose a job and not tell me, and then he'd go to work in the mornings and come home and he'd be looking for work, and I'd be like, how was work? Oh, yeah, good today. But he didn't have a job.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait, he was looking for work?
Yeah.
But didn't let you know that he had already lost the job.
Yeah, that was new. He'd do that all the time. He even stole money from his mother, a check, and banked it and cashed it, put it into our account to make it look like wages were going in, so I didn't get
suspicious. So that you wouldn't.
Suspicious that there's no wages yeah. So he would do that. So he did that a number of times. He stole from his mother to put money into her account to make it look like just he was working when he wasn't. Chaotic.
What was it? What would his mother say? I don't understand. So his mom was in on this, or she was covering for him, or was?
I was covering for him when because I had to go through the family court with him, and criminal court and civil court. So in the family court, one of the top New Zealand psychologists did a report on the family. We were never allowed to keep the report because it has personal information about both of us in it, but we were allowed to read it. So it is locked at a court. You can't take it home with you. But in it, the psychologist does mention that the mother is just in complete denial about her son's behavior, and she would cover up for him, and she didn't tell me till later on he did that, just let him, just enabled his delusions. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this type of behavior that he had, what was it like for you trying to raise your daughters living with him? Did they side with him sometimes? Did they just sweep it under the rug? How were they navigating their life living with him?
I don't think they really knew.
Oh,
because they were young. Like, I actually left him when Lauren, I think, was 10. But that doesn't mean it ends. So it didn't end there. So they were young. They didn't really know what was going on. They didn't know that their dad was losing jobs. I just kept everything together. They didn't know he was a pathological liar. They didn't know he was stealing from where he was working. They didn't know any of that. Because when you're 10 and 7, you don't know what's going on. I just tried to keep things stable and smile and pretend that everything was okay. And they didn't actually know till after I left him. He moved in with his mother, and they would go and visit on the weekends. And then I'd say Lauren sort of got to around about 13, and then she started to see things. And then she started to question things because she didn't realize when she was younger. So she started to see what was really going on, and then she started to confront him. But it wasn't until she was older, heading towards a teenager, that she did that.
For you, emotionally, leaving your home, assuming that was the place of your parents, or where your dad was born as well, New Zealand?
Oh, no, Dad's from Australia.
no.
My mum's from New Zealand. My mum, yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry. So,
But I was born in New Zealand, yeah.
Emotionally, what was it like for you to leave New Zealand? If you had to describe it, I'm mentioning that mainly because Tanya put something up, and I'll put it back on the screen. She talked about how, if you can see that there, she says, I'm learning in the last year or so, let me read it from over here, that many folks need to change everything drastically in moving, letting go of all things known and comfortable, family and children. Some have had to experience that in moving. What are some of the things emotionally that were challenging for you when it was time to make this move towards safety?
The only thing challenging for me was leaving my daughter. Everything else was relief.
Wow.
Was relief. Only leaving my daughter behind was hard. But everything else, I mean, my mum, of course, but my mum's older and she's sick and she doesn't know that I've gone. But it was joy leaving, except for leaving my daughter. Yeah, I was excited. I knew it was the right thing to do. I knew it would change my life, and it has. But it was, of course, the only thing that was one hesitation was my daughter, basically.
What are some of the things that you needed to do to be prepared to make this move? Was it a few months? Was it a few years in planning?
It was something I've thought about for a while, but obviously I couldn't do it until Lydia got to a certain age. I probably would have thought about moving earlier, but I didn't want to risk. He would have called the police probably and said that she's been kidnapped. So I needed to make sure that we did everything. And I did actually, even though this is the first time I've ever said this, I did contact his lawyer and I let the lawyer know that we were leaving. And the girls don't know I did that because they didn't want me to have any contact. But I did do the right thing by saying we're leaving the country, because I know what he's like, and I didn't want to get something from the police saying you're trying to kidnap. And but it took months because I had to clear out my home. I donated things. I gave things to my daughter. I gave her my car. I had to obviously leave work, and I had to organise a container to ship over what I wanted. I didn't take a lot, but I just took some stuff, and it ended up taking 6 months to get here from New Zealand, even though it's a 3-hour flight because of COVID.
I was just thinking that. I said, yes, less than.
Yeah.
3.5 hours
Yeah.
to get there.
So it took
Wow.
6 months for my stuff to come over, just because we went in 2020 before real lockdowns and mandates. So we sort of were able to get what they called a green flight. So you didn't have to have any passports or any of those mandates or anything. So we got in, and but it just with the ports and that, it took a long time to get our stuff. So it was a big move, because then I had to come and I had to find a job, and then I had to buy a car, and then I had to set my daughter up in a new school, so new uniforms and everything. So it was a big, financially huge, but worth it, worth every cent.
Yeah. The life that you were living in New Zealand with him was not something that you ever imagined. Or were there some red flags? Were there any red flags from the beginning that led to where you are right now that maybe you missed?
Oh, no, I didn't miss them. I knew.
You did miss it. I tried to
I
say
didn't
it
miss
a
them.
certain way, and you answered it exactly the way I knew you were going
Yeah.
to say it. You saw
I
him, huh?
mean,
You saw him.
yeah, 100%. So he was dishonest, and I worked that out very quickly. I think I mentioned to you, someone said to me once, "Oh, how's it going? We've been sort of dating not very long."
Yeah.
And the first thing I said was, "Oh, he lies." And they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." And I said, "Oh, yeah, he lies a bit." So that was the first thing I said to someone. He lies.
Okay, so how long were you together before that moment happened? Was that like a
Oh,
week? Was that a few months?
very, very quickly. I was like, this guy's,
He's just a liar. He's just a stinking liar. Just
yeah, he just
wow.
talks, he just, just lies. But I wasn't with him for very long, and
Okay.
there is a background to this. I met him through his sister, who I was working with, and that there was a function, and then we went to this function to raise money for a tournament, a cricket tournament, and I met him, and we sort of he'd come over and we'd sort of go out, or he'd just come to my place, often quite late at night, which is another red flag. But I didn't. I just thought it was a bit of fun at first. I didn't really think it was. I didn't really think that much of it. I didn't think, oh, this is going to be a relationship. I thought I was just fun.
You were just out. You were just out and about, right? You just.
I was just I'd been sort of to England, and I'd been back, and I'd travelled, and then I went to the South Island, and then I'd come back. So I was not really thinking that I was going to be in a relationship with this guy at all. But I got pregnant after probably about 3 months, so that sealed my fate.
When you got pregnant, you still were not settled in your gut that you wanted to be with him.
Oh, no, definitely not. He didn't even let him come to any of the scans. He didn't come to any of the scans, because he just, and his mother said to me, "So, what's happening?" And I said, "Well, he lies." So I don't,
What did she say? What did she say?
She said, "Well, what are you guys going to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to be with him because he's dishonest and he lies." But then, I had Lauren, and I don't know, I thought maybe giving it a go for her was the right thing to do, and it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
There were some things that began to take place in the relationship after she was born. Name a few things that someone can keep in mind that could help them.
Well, listen to your gut instinct. When someone, or Maya Angelou always said this, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And he showed me who he was often.
Yeah.
But I had a baby. I had a little baby. I was pregnant, and I thought it was the right thing to do to keep him around and keep him attached. I shouldn't have done that. I thought maybe he's young and he might change a little bit, but he didn't. He got worse and worse and worse. So I would say that, I love my family. I love my children are my life, and I'll never say but, because it's really hard. But having a child with a narcissist changes everything, because they've got that leverage to never leave you alone and to always be there. If you don't have a child with one, it is, I would say, easier to break free, but it was very difficult for me. Very difficult with a young baby, thinking, well, maybe he might get better, or I didn't know that he was going to be a sociopath. I had no idea. Like, I knew there was issues, but I didn't know that just end up being, just as he got older, he just got worse and worse and worse. I mean, he stole from my purse when I was pregnant. He came over, and I lived in a 3-level property in a suburb in Auckland. And I'd left my bag in my room, and I was on the lower level, so you had to go up to go to the bathroom. And I said, I'm just going to go to the toilet. So I went to the bathroom, and gut instinct is there to protect you. That's one thing, I think people don't.
You didn't trust him at all, did you?
100%. So the way my bedroom was, there was stairs and like a curtain.
Yeah.
So I didn't just go down the stairs. I thought, hold on. And I sort of ran around. There's like a balustrade. And I just looked in, and he had his hand in my bag, and he had my wallet out, and he was taking cash out of my wallet. And I was just watching him. And so I'll tell you what happened. So these are things I've just remembered because they're so far back, because Lauren's 21 soon. So I went down the stairs.
You never told me this story.
No.
I should have led with this story.
There's so many stories, because they just come to you. So obviously Lauren's 21 next month, so it was 21 years ago. So I went down the stairs, and I said, what are you doing? Why are you stealing from me? He said, oh, no, I'm not. I said, you had my wallet in your hand. Oh, I'm looking for phone numbers. I said, phone numbers? Oh, guys' numbers. Guys' phone numbers in my wallet. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I don't trust you.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, I was pregnant, right? I saw him taking cash out. So he said to me, I don't trust you. I think you've got guys' numbers in your wallet right near your cash.
Obviously.
Yeah, so that didn't end well. That didn't end well. I said, just get out. So he left. I said, get out, go home, go to mummy and go. So, I could probably tell you 100 things like that.
How did he get back in?
Well, just, I'm pregnant, and then you have to give birth.
Just wondering.
Nightmare.
I've talked to you enough that I'm surprised he got back in, because you don't look like a pushover at all. So it had to be.
No, it didn't.
You felt a sense of obligation.
Absolutely sense of obligation. Like, what do I do? This guy's insane. This guy's stealing from my wallet and then lying and saying, I don't trust you.
Said, I can't trust you.
I don't trust you.
Okay, you told me some other things, but I got to say some of these notes that when we were doing the pre-show prep. Here we go. I'm going to say a few things, and I told you earlier, you may not even remember the things that you were telling to me, because it was so good and fast and furious coming out of you when we were catching up after a few years of doing a show together. You mentioned about over-explaining. Talk a little bit about that for everybody. Oh, by the way, before you do that, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Tanya, thank you so much for watching us on a bigger screen, because we try to make these shows so they can be watched on television instead of a laptop. So I hope that helps some. Tanya's here. What else you got here? Do you see what that says? She's talking about what he was saying to you when he was.
That's a load of malarkey. That is a bit small, but is it? That's a load of malarkey.
Yes, what it says. That's what you should have told him when he had his hand in the purse. Yeah, that's okay. Anyhow,
every day, morning, noon, and night. That was what it was like. Morning, noon, and night. Moment I woke up, moment I went to sleep, malarkey.
Really?
That's it.
Oh
Constant.
man, I don't know. I seriously don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it.
I don't either.
Anyhow, so
Someone
over-explaining.
did say to me once, oh yeah, over-explaining. So I think it's about reactive abuse. So you're
Okay.
reacting to the abuse. So you over-explain yourself. You try and say things 3 or 4 times the same thing. And you end up
Okay.
doing that a lot when you are dealing with a narcissist, because you don't think people get it, or you don't want people to think that that it's not true. So you're just over-explaining. Sometimes you need to say it once, but you find yourself saying it over and over, like explaining what's happened over and over and over. And because you want people to understand or people to get it, and they might get it and some don't. Because I think unless you've really lived with a narcissist, you really don't understand how insane they are, and how much they gaslight, and what gaslighting really means. I don't think you understand it until you live it. It's not really real. So you just seem to over-explain yourself, and when you're in situations like court and that, you can look a bit, I suppose, obsessive, because you're trying to get your point across. Because they lie so much, you're trying to get the truth out. But that's sort of what I'm talking about. Yeah, when you over-explain.
So did you come across looking crazy sometimes? Maybe even to your children or other people, because you were trying to get an ounce of the truth in while they were putting a dump truck of lies, or she says malarkey, in at the same time.
Malarkey. It's good. I would say maybe a couple of people. Yeah, definitely. I think my lawyer thought I had a family court, a family lawyer, right?
I can't wait
And
to hear
I
what you're
got
going to say, because it's kind of like now we're doing this when there is no audience. But go ahead, just keep going. Yeah.
look. My lawyer was terrible. She was lovely, but this was way over her head. She was a legal aid lawyer, which meant I could pay her off. So she wasn't as expensive, and he got one of the top lawyers, which his mother paid for. And his lawyer did say to my lawyer, this guy's crazy. But I was lucky. The girls get their own lawyer, possibly the same thing in the States. So we all had our own lawyer, so we're not sort of impartial a bit. But my lawyer, I did everything for her. I got all the information. She sort of stood up there and just said nothing, and it cost it cost 10 grand or something. She didn't do anything. We were lucky that the girl's lawyer was very switched on, and he ended up saying to me, "This is the hardest case I've worked on because of the girl's dad." But my lawyer was a little bit like, he's going to end up homeless, sure. So have some empathy for him. And, I'm like, okay. She was a bit, he's, I don't know. I think she sort of thought we were both a bit weird. And then when she read the, because in the psychological report, it just basically said nothing about me, but it just said everything about the family. So she's like, she said, oh, there's nothing in there about you. Like you've been sort of exonerated, or she said there's nothing. And I think she was surprised that the lawyer didn't say, the psychologist, didn't say this woman's a bit insane, but there was nothing about there.
She prejudged you. Yeah.
Just going to open the door to my dog.
No, go ahead.
So I think she thought the psychologist might say something about me in regards to my mental health, but she didn't. So, yeah.
So the girls had their lawyer. He had, of course, his lawyer from his mama, his mommy, and then you had, well, technically you were your own lawyer, but you paid her to at least stand in front of the judge. Now, when all this was said, when everything's said and done, you're living in Australia where you are now.
Yeah.
What is life like for you now? Are you still having to deal with his stalking?
No.
His weirdness?
No.
What is does the government doing anything to help you there?
Yeah, the government do definitely help you. There's things that they can do with, even with, say, like child support, even though my kids are older, just as an example. I don't know what it's like in New Zealand now, but if you are deemed at that higher risk, because they often like to contact and say you owe child support, if you're that high risk, you were considered high risk in New Zealand, they don't contact, they just help you. They don't even risk stirring him up by saying, you need to pay child support or anything like that. They don't do that unless, you have to be high risk for that. Otherwise, they try and come to him and say, you got to support your children. So Australia is a bit different. They've even got courts here now because of some tragic incidents in Australia where, there is a separate entrance for victims of domestic violence in court, so they don't have to go through the same for security reasons. So you've got you can often have different rooms or be shielded.
Yeah.
So you don't have to see them. There's a few things here that they've put in place to try and protect women. But in New Zealand, it was very, very difficult. Very difficult. The police were a nightmare.
Not
for
supportive.
Me.
Not
The
supportive.
courts were good. The courts were really good, but the police were terrible. Yeah.
So when it comes to narcissistic revenge, that's one of the things you mentioned. People need to be aware of narcissistic revenge, or when the narc wants revenge. Your words on that?
Look, narcissists love revenge, and they'll do whatever they can to hurt you, even if it means hurting themselves. So they will risk everything to hurt you. So they're really dangerous. Basically, they'll do anything. They'll risk themselves, and he did that. He did a lot of really terrible things. He would tell teachers at our daughter's school that I was insane and that I was sectioned, and he was a victim of all this stuff. And some of these women, and even the principal who had a doctorate, she thought, "Oh, this poor guy." But I did, when things eventually started coming out, I said to them, "When was I sectioned? Did you ever see me not here? Have you noticed that I've had one job since, And they didn't even think that, they're like, "Oh, wow, actually you haven't." I said, "If you can't just get sectioned in New Zealand, you can't. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States, but you've got to be high risk to yourself or the public." So I don't know how they thought at one point when I was there every day to pick my children up that I was sectioned one day. So, I think narcissists, they're quite believable when they just, I suppose some people don't realize how dishonest people are. So when someone's spelling something out, they couldn't think, some people wouldn't think, "Oh, that actually might not be true," because why would someone say it? But narcissists love to lie. It's euphoric for them. So yeah, a lot of nasty things, a lot of nasty, horrible
He
things.
really enjoyed lying. I think that was one of the things you
Loved
brought to
it.
my attention, and I was trying to wrap my brain around that. There are people, of course, like that, but you're saying he was well beyond just a liar. It was literally a thing that he enjoyed doing.
Oh, pathological, absolutely pathological. And I think I've said to you, how an arsonist sets, a house on fire and then goes back and looks and watches, and they come to the scene of the crime. He would do that, but for lying. But he wants people in the house. He wants to see people, and that's how.
Oh, wow.
I would say, euphoria, like euphoric. When he lied, he would get a euphoric feeling. Absolutely, because there are some things I could mention here, but they might be a bit R-rated to what I have witnessed, that I probably won't say here. I could say to you privately, but
Yeah, no, I know.
there was an excitement. Let's just say there was an excitement about lying, and there was an excitement about getting caught lying, because then you could lie again.
Wow.
About the lie. Yeah.
On the screen, Tanya is saying that he is a criminal. Clearly,
Yeah.
talking about narcs in general, they all are. but your recovery, you're making it a point to move on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely hard. How would you rate it? Really hard to
Um,
move on?
it's really hard to move on. It's really hard to move on because, like I said to you about that Stockholm syndrome,
Mhm.
they create,
Yeah.
you're their captor, but then you have empathy because you've got children, or you have empathy because you're in the same home, or you know, you try and support them and sometimes cover up so people don't know
Yeah.
what's really going on. And you
Right,
get
right.
so, um, you get, I would say, addicted to the chaos, and you don't know what normal is until you break free. So you're just running on adrenaline all the time because you never know. Like I said to you, I'd get phone
Mhm.
calls from people looking for him, and the weirdest things, like, oh, he didn't get off the plane, and I'm like, oh, okay, was he going somewhere? And I was supposed to pick him up from the airport, and then I'd ring him and say, why is someone
Wait,
ringing
what?
because you didn't get on a plane? Where were you flying to? Oh, just here because they offered me a job and I decided not to go. I'm like, okay, so it was chaotic. So like I said to you again, someone called me and he'd told people that our children were in hospital, and this is before COVID, saying school was locked down and we were looking for him. And I was like, okay, so it's just, you just never knew. Someone knocked on my door once and was like, oh, is he there? And I'm like, oh no, he's out. And oh yeah, he's mentoring me. And I'm like, oh no, you know, okay.
I'm sorry. That's
Yeah,
just
I
that's a
was like,
new one. You didn't tell me that one.
no, I told you, like, as you
That's
think about it,
crazy.
these things come up, resurface that you've tried to hide for all these years. I mean, I'll remember a million things, but I mean, he's told people that he was underwear model, and and I had to say, because I used to often say, more often than not, that's a lie. So he had people over that he worked with, and they said, oh, he did some underwear like modeling, and I said, no, he didn't. He's a liar. Underwear model, just yeah. It is. It's chaos constantly
Who would
trying to
think
keep
of
up.
saying that they were an undergarment model? Why would he even? Okay, so look, here we go. Um,
Delusions, grandeur,
I'm being
that
nice. I've never
grandeur.
met him. Okay, so you
Yeah.
were in a high risk situation then in New Zealand, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome became a part of your life. Would you say you were kind of
Well,
attached to the chaos? Would
well,
you say? How would you describe it?
I I would say Stockholm syndrome's a great way to describe some relationships with a narcissist, because you
Yeah.
stay and you try and support them, and I think you try
Mhm.
and help them, but you can't make someone like that better. You can't change them. They can't change. They don't want to change. They're quite happy with who they are. They live in a fantasy. So you sort of you help your kidnapper, basically. Like the when the like the situation how it occurred, that name, where there was a bank robbery, I think it was. So these guys robbed a bank, and then the hostages sided with the kidnappers. So that's what they call, because it was in Stockholm syndrome. So you do sometimes try and side with your kidnappers, and really a narcissist is kidnapping you in a way. You're hijacked
How did you
from
side with
reality.
how did you side with your emotional kidnapper, the narcissist?
Or just by staying with him, like thinking it would be
Hmm.
better for the girls. But I did, I said to you, I would pray for help.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'd say for 7 years, I tried to work out how do I get out? How do I get out? How? And I would, as soon as he got home from work, if he was working, but as soon as he got home, I would try and go to bed. So
Yeah.
5 o'clock, 5 in the afternoon, because I used to think if I was asleep, um, I was safe. And if I was
Yeah.
asleep, I couldn't hear it, and I wouldn't be lied to. So I would go to bed very early. So, and it took a long time for me to get out of that pattern of going to bed early. So probably 5 o'clock, because sleeping made me feel safe. But I would lay there and go, how do I get out? And I'd say, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
God, please help me. Take my home, take everything. As long as I can get out, I don't care what it is. Please, I need help. And it worked. And we lost our home. But it broke
That's
me
what
free
happened.
from him. Yeah.
I was leading to find out how that transpired, but that's what took place.
Mm.
Lost the home.
Yeah.
You
So
when you lost.
I was.
Go ahead.
Mm.
Please go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was just going to say. So he'd started another new job. Wasn't qualified, couldn't do it,
How
and
many
just
stinking jobs did this guy have, man? So,
well, what I counted was 33 that I knew of.
you
That I knew of.
weren't even together 33 years.
Every 6 months.
Goodness.
I counted 33 that I know of. So he had started a job, wasn't there very long, and just couldn't do the job because he wasn't qualified. Because he would fake qualifications too. I worked over here, I studied here, didn't. And he tried to destroy this business because he loves destruction and just walk away. Like when he stole, he didn't steal on sale to make money. He stole because he enjoyed stealing. So he did all this. It was a construction business, and he did all this pricing. It was all wrong, and they won the job, and it was like 150,000 out. So anyway, he wasn't there long, but for some reason, I don't know how, the owner of the business got my email address. So he emailed me directly, an email that the narcissist had written him saying, yes, I'll pay that $150,000 back. Yes, I'll pay that $16,000 back. Yes, I'll pay it, blah, blah. And I was trying to work it out. So this guy's emailed me, forwarded on his email and said, this is what your husband's done to my small family business, and I'm going to take your home. And I had to read the email a few times to actually understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So then I rang him and said, I've just got this email. Oh, no, this guy's this. Okay. I said, stop. When you get home, everything you own is to be packed up and you're leaving. That is it. And I said, I'm ringing a real estate agent now, and we're selling the home, and there's no going back from this. So that was the last nail in the coffin. So I got a real estate agent to come over that night, and I said,
wow,
we're selling the home because you're in trouble. This ties me to you.
Yep.
It's over. And I rang his mum, come and get your son. This is what's happened. And that's when she said to me, oh, actually, by the way, he's been stealing money from me. Said he could have told me earlier.
Not only could she have told you earlier, she also could have been the same person who didn't get him a lawyer. So, but she also helped him. Anyhow, look,
yeah.
Okay. I got a couple
Cost
of more,
a lot of money.
I'm not going to hold you all day, all morning for you and day, even though it's your time off. But I'm going to toss a few things at you, and you just say whatever's on your mind. Okay?
I will.
Here we go. He was psychologically violent. What do you mean by that?
Just the lies. I always say that, just that nothing was real. Just, I told you once he worked for a company and he told me he didn't work for them, but my brother-in-law's friend worked with him. And I said, you work for this company? No, I don't. I said, but Paul's best mate works with you. Your family, they're making stuff up. They're always doing this. I don't work for them. And I was like, wages are going into our account from this company that you don't work for. Oh, it's because I did one thing for them. I don't work for them. You're overreacting. I don't work for them. So it was constant gaslighting, just never ending, every day, every minute of every day. Nothing was real. That's what I mean. It's just, and he'd never say, oh, you got me. Yeah, I wasn't honest. He would not stop. He'd lie about a lie.
Just kept going. Just,
Just keep going.
my
It's like you've
goodness.
been caught. You work there. No, I don't. I do not work there. Yes,
You
you
know,
do. I do not
how,
work there. Yeah.
I don't, you're such an intelligent, beautiful, funny person. How did you even come out alive? It's just amazing. It is just
I,
amazing.
I,
The more and
I
more
don't
you
know.
tell me, the more and more, whether it be in private or you're telling me stuff now, it's
Yeah.
like I don't even know how you have your sanity and your beautiful family. Okay, here we go.
Thank
One of the
you.
phrases from you when we were talking was "focus on you." What do you mean by that? How can how can some young woman or man utilize that?
Well, I think when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you sort of still think that they care about you and that you care about them. The reality is you don't love them because they're not real. What they've shown you is not who they actually are. So you care about or love a character. You don't love a person.
Hmm.
So, you think, oh, I'm going to help this person. I'll do some research into why that he's doing this or she's doing
Right.
this. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't work. Focus on you. How do I break free? How do
Yeah.
I heal? Don't worry about them and why they do it. You can't explain that. I don't even think psychologists can explain that. I think some people are born this way. Maybe it's something to do with childhood, but you can't help them. Psychologists can often get very manipulated by narcissists or psychopaths. So if you think you're going to have a
Yeah.
chance,
We're in
you
trouble
can't.
trying to
You
think.
can't.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. So focus on you. Create things that feel good to you, and that take away the focus of what they're doing or what they've done. Focus, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like create
Yeah.
something that maybe doesn't focus on the narcissist. So you could create a bit of a page to help people, but
Yeah.
a hobby, something else that's away from them. Yeah, that's what I
I,
think.
I'm gonna piggyback on something that you just mentioned. Some people are born cruel. That's something that you mentioned when we were talking. You kind of
Mm.
alluded to it when you were about to say something there. Why is it important for people to understand that, what you were just discussing, and also your
Mm.
statement when we were talking a little bit ago? We did the pre-show prep. Some people are born cruel. Why is it hard for some people to know that they can't save everyone?
I think because narcissists like to target people that have a lot of empathy, and we like to think people can change and that, there is good out there. But the reality is, of course, there is good, and some people can change, but they're not a narcissist then. So you're not dealing with one. But if you're dealing with someone, like obviously my ex is that level above. He's got an antisocial personality disorder as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
he's got addictions and he's got narcissism. So I got the full package there. So you're dealing with
Oh
someone who's,
man.
I,
Wow.
I, that he's deranged, really.
Yeah.
He's just not living in reality. You can't help people who are not living in reality. And if they're born like that, and I really believe that there are some things obviously that can happen to kids that can create that type of behavior, but I do think some people are really born with evil, and that's my opinion. That might
Hmm.
not be a psychologist's opinion or a
Hmm.
psychiatrist or whatever, but you can't help everyone,
Yeah.
and that's where tough love comes into it. Like you have to let go. You can't save everyone.
Did you have moments where your empathy was taken advantage of, or you led with your empathy and he made you suffer because you did try to maybe save him at certain times?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I do. Yeah, my empathy, my kindness. I mean, I even after losing my home, I still let our kids go and stay with him and visit and his family. And I still, when he didn't have any money, I just said,
Mm.
"That's fine. If you can't help with the kids, I'll pay for everything." I just let it all slide. I didn't fight. I didn't. I actually, I, I'm not like I'm a very strong person, but when it came to that, I didn't fight. Like, I think that's one of the things the kids didn't realize when I left them was like, what happened? Because I'm not yelling and screaming and why are you doing this? I just went to bed. I didn't create more chaos in the home because he was creating chaos. I tried to people didn't know when I left him, there was no signs. I mean, the family would have known, but people didn't know because I wasn't ringing people going, oh, this has happened again. I was just keep it in the home, keep it quiet.
I'm sorry, go ahead, please. Go
no,
ahead.
you go.
Were there a lot of people in your life that came to you later on and said, wow, we thought something was wrong with him, but we just didn't say anything?
No one. I don't think people want to get involved. I mean, the family knew, but I suppose, like with my friends or my girlfriends, I moved to a different suburb, different schooling for my children. So we did a lot of things just with his family. We didn't do a lot of things outside that. So it was quite contained, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like, it was basically within his family a lot. I mean, my family knew that he wasn't honest, obviously, because my brother-in-law and all, they knew, but no one sort of came to me after. No.
Nobody came to you and said, hey, you need to pack your stuff and leave because this guy is crazy. Okay.
No.
At what point, what year did it become clear to you you needed to start making a process or start preparing, start praying to God and saying, help me out here? What flipped it for you?
I'd say when I was pregnant with our second daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was like, this is crazy. So 7 years it took for my prayers to be answered, but it's 7 years. I tried.
7 years the light bulb came on. Did you talk to
7
anybody?
years finally I found
Beside God, did you talk to anybody?
No one.
No girlfriend. Hey,
No,
let me tell you what's going on.
not with girlfriends. No, everyone's living their best life. No one wants to know. No one wants to hear. Not that no one wants to hear it, but everyone's just doing their own thing. I don't want to burden anyone with the chaos I was living. I don't want to burden everyone. I just smile, and we'd get together, and all of us, maybe have a barbecue every so often, and smile, and then leave, and then go home to madness. Yeah.
Okay, so now, do you still go to bed at 5:00?
No, I don't.
I've been waiting to ask you that for almost 3 years now. Been waiting all this time to ask you that.
Don't.
One
But
question I didn't ask you in the first show. What was that?
I do go to bed I do go to bed early. It's just a habit now. But I don't get to go to bed at 5 o'clock.
Living
Unless
with
I'm
that
sick.
narc. You're tired from living with that.
But I do, like, my bedroom is, for me now, it's my safe place, because no one's laying beside me that's
crazy,
lying, probably cheating, yeah. So it's, it is nice, but no, but, once it was like 7 o'clock and the girls said to me, this is in New Zealand, they said, oh, you're up late.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, you're up late, Mum. I'm like,
when you put your head on the pillow, back in dealing with the crazy people days, did you go to sleep right away, or was it a half hour, an hour of asking God why, and then you fell asleep eventually, or did you
eventually probably crying, just crying, just crying, and then just thinking why me? That's unfair. Yeah.
I may have to beg you to come back. There's some other things that I'm not going to ask you today that you didn't. Now that you said some stuff, but we'll talk again. I got to run by some things here. Let's see. Here we go. The things that you said from our talking. You said that there was a particular author. I'm going to let you say it. Of a book. What was the book not the book that your father got your name from, because that's if anybody
No,
is
no, no.
watching this,
Is
yeah,
it
this,
Lundy
yeah,
Bancroft?
yes. And why is that
Yeah.
a book that others should take a peek into and take a look at?
Well, because I went through a few services in New Zealand. So there was like Women's Refuge and Whānau Protect. So Whānau is family in Maori, Indigenous language in New Zealand. Whānau Protect protects families. And then Family First, I think it was. So Whānau Protect helped me and they gave me security for my home. So I got new lights, new locks, and then security I could sit in and it went directly to the police, and then they could record everything, and I had one for around my neck. So Family First gave me a book by Lundy Bancroft, and he is, I believe, American, and he is, I'd say, a psychologist, and he deals with narcissistic men, and he sort of the book was like basically, why do they do it? And I think you just have to understand they do it because they enjoy it, because they don't abuse it. So they target. They don't abuse everyone. You know.
I got you. We got it. We're good. So again, I just want to repeat. So the name, and by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, I wanted to bring this book up. I know you sent me some information and enjoyed it in looking at the information. I am going to make this available to everybody in the description for this particular episode of this podcast. It'll be there for you. The name again is Lundy Bancroft, correct? If I said that correct?
Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, it's what it was.
And I think it's called, he's got a few books, but it does break down how narcissists can manipulate the psychologists. So it is an interesting, it's an interesting.
Yeah, it was very,
He knows, he's switched on. And I think it's called Why Do They Do It? Or Why Do They Do What They Do, or something something like that.
I think it's Why Do They Do What They Do, or something like that. This information was nothing you expected to have in your life before you got pregnant. You survived how many years again? You told me now, I forgot. How many years from before you got pregnant to, let's say at least what is she?
Well, Laura's 21, so at least 18 years of just crazy chaos.
18 years. In that 18-year time frame, what 3 qualities did you learn about yourself?
Oh, how strong I am. Because I've had people say to me, even my sister said, I would have had a nervous breakdown.
Yes. Hey, me too. If we're not even biologically connected that way, I'm telling you.
And you're only hearing, I'm just remembering little bits, as I said today, just every day, morning, noon, and night. So how strong I am and how much empathy and forgiveness I actually have, because I could have, I should have, been more tougher, but I put my kids first and I didn't want them to be part of even more chaos. I mean, I did go to the family court, but that was, so I'd say, just how strong I am, my empathy, and just what I'm actually capable of doing on my own. Yeah.
Were there ever moments that you doubted that you could do it on your own when you were in this bubble of confusion?
I don't think I doubted it, but I think I got tired. I mean, at one point, from the stress of everything that was going on, I did get a rash on my torso for 3 months, just from my body and my immune system, everything saying, this is too much for you. And so, I couldn't shower well because the pain just on my torso. So I went to the doctor. I was like, what? And then they swab you and you think, oh, what's happened? And just from complete and utter stress, 3 months.
Wow.
And the water on your body, the pain of the water. So that's just from him. That was from him. Yeah. It's not easy. It's not, it's breaks. I think psychological violence is damaging to your body, damaging to your mind. It's just damaging completely. Yeah. And people don't understand how damaging it is because they think I can see a bruise so I can understand, but they can't see psychological abuse. And they don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. No one saw that rash except me and my kids trying to put cream on my body at night from just him having a breakdown thinking, oh, I've got to protect my kids. And yeah.
Got some love on the screen for you there, my friend.
Thank you. Thank
Tanya,
you.
one of our members, says, you're very brave and courageous to say the words of your trauma. I learn something new every time I talk to you about what you have gone through. I've personally never experienced it, but I tell you right now, I'm more equipped if I do from learning from the things that you talk about, because you couldn't have paid me $1 zillion to believe you went through this from day one that I talked to you, because you surprise me every time. It's like, there's no way you went through it. And it's like impossible. You're so cool. You're just like, you're so.
Well, I don't know how I did it, but like as I said, like, you know, we can talk another time about all the court stuff and you know, not trying to seek revenge on the narcissist, because I did go through multiple courts with him, and there was actually one of our magazines in New Zealand wrote an article about our court case. With name suppression. So there was an article in a big magazine in New Zealand about what he did and how the police responded and the judge and that. So, yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about that, because we get responses from individuals asking all the time. We're just we just put the videos and the people out there. We are not professionals, can counsel people. So what you're saying and what you've gone through in court and what you're saying now is going to help somebody. Okay, now you're popular, boy. I tell you, everybody's calling you. So
that's my boss.
Okay, well, before we go,
it's my day off.
It's your day off. I think you just said, right? It's your day off, right? Yeah.
He's rung 3 times. He wants to talk to me about something, but I actually did message him last night. I said, let's talk tonight, because I'm not going to talk to you tomorrow. And that doesn't matter.
Obviously, that didn't matter. Yeah, but it didn't matter. Okay, so before we go, I want to run a few things by you, and here are the last 2. 1, you prayed for relief. In your mind, did it work?
Yes.
Why do you, here's the second question, is a follow-up question, and that's a 2-parter. That was the first part. Here's the second part. Why do you feel it worked for you?
Because I specifically said, I don't care if I lose my home. I don't care if I'm in a car. You need to help me. I need to get out. And I don't care if it means I have nothing. I need help, because I can't leave him without help, because he's insane. So I need something. I need something big to happen. I need it to be big to justify. I need it to be big to get out. And I got exactly what I asked for. Yeah.
You're amazing. You're amazing. Everybody that comes for the NATV podcast, which is what you just experienced right now, it's not like our NATV lives or our NATV radio show. It really is just me sitting down and chatting with someone that I would love to have into my home and talk with them. And if you're ever in California, you're always welcome to my home. You're just an amazing person. And
I'd love to come one day. One day.
Cool. Yeah. You know, I mean, our beach is not close to, what you may have, but
well, it's always yours is. Oh no,
yours
more
smog. We got a bad air out here.
You got more smog, yeah.
Yeah.
I've only flown into LA once, but I didn't get off. Just on the way back from England once. So I need to. I'd love to come and have a look. I'd love it.
Hey, you come and look. Come and look. You're getting love on the screen. A lot of love. You. What does that say? She puts up here. Narcissist humans. Let me see what I got here. Can you see what that says there? Narcissistic humans.
Oh yeah, narcissist humans aren't humans really. They're revenge. Yeah, they're revengeful people. Absolutely. This is why. This is one thing I really want to get across. If you're actually dealing with a narcissist, guys, so not everyone that's a bit of an ass is a narcissist, but if you're really dealing with a narcissist, they are extremely dangerous, pathological liars. Like my ex-husband nothing was real. He lived in a fantasy. So he wasn't physically violent, but obviously psychologically, all that, financially violent towards me. But they're the ones that often, when they get really caught or something really happens, they're the ones that often snap and do something really horrific to the whole family. So you're dealing with a dangerous person because you don't know what's really going on in their mind. So don't seek revenge. You know, I know I see videos on how to get revenge on a narcissist. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you shouldn't be seeking revenge. You just need to be trying to get out and safely. You know, don't, oh, I've got someone new, I'm going to post pictures of the two of us. That would wind them up, and it makes things dangerous for everyone. You, your new person, you know, you're not dealing with someone who's can rationalize situations. So I just, you know, safety is really important. It's not a joke.
I'm going to repeat what you said. You said, do not wind them up, correct?
No, absolutely. And people do that. They're like, oh, how do I get revenge? I'm going to, you know, I've got someone new now and I'll post a picture of the two of us online. That's really dangerous. It's dangerous for the new person. It's dangerous for you. They love to stalk. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you. They want source from you. You know, they don't want you. They don't want anyone. They don't love anyone except, they don't even love themselves actually. But, you know, if you're really dealing with a narcissist and you want to break free, close Facebook, create a new account that's fake. Everything has to be private. Don't go live streaming. Move. Change jobs. I mean, that's how serious it can get. That's how serious it got for me. But, you know, as I said, I've got a complex situation because he's a psychopath as well, or sociopath. But don't seek revenge. Just go quiet. That's what you need to do. Just slide away. That's what I think, because, you know, they can do some heinous things and it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I really
Seeing
appreciate
whether that, you know.
I really appreciate you saying that. There's so many people trying to decide what they need to do to get that feeling of winning in their life. And actually, they could be putting themselves, their children, others in harm's way because
100%.
that narcissist could snap. And
absolutely.
Like you said, go dark, as it were. Be off
Yeah,
grid
I mean,
if you could. Be off grid if you could.
Pathological lies are dangerous because they don't, you know, there's nothing my ex wouldn't lie about and no one he wouldn't lie to. So when you're that comfortable with being lying, like he wouldn't break a sweat. So to try and wind someone up like that, no, it's stupid. It's really dangerous and it's not worth, look, I'll say people like, I'm going to give an example, that Chris Watts in the States that killed his wife and the two children. So he had met someone new. And of course, they said he was maybe psychologically abusive, but he wasn't physically abusive. But what happened? He met someone new and she was in the way. And that's all it took. Yeah. Maybe some encouragement from her, that girlfriend, I don't know. He's in prison now, but he killed his little kiddies and his wife. For what? Narcissists can't just say, look, I want to leave you. I've met someone new. They want it to be, you know, and he'd never, from what I've read of the case, he'd never physically hurt her before. But that didn't stop him taking the whole family out. So don't be naive and, you know, and think that narcissism, it's not a game.
Yeah. Don't play
and
around
revenge
with
is
them.
the last thing. Don't play around with them. Don't. Yeah.
All right, everybody. You got me. You're getting so much love. Tanya's giving you so much love. She called you truth spoken here. As you can see on the screen, she says, this is encouraging. I needed to hear this today. And she also put up collateral damage. Very sad. That can happen when you're dealing with a narcissist, 100%. Everybody. You're dealing with someone who is not looking at reality. So you got to be really careful with them. I'm going to, no, go ahead. You were going to say something. No, go ahead.
No, true. You're not dealing with people who have rational thinking. So don't play games with them. Just focus on you and trying to move on. And who cares if I had a social media account that had over 5,500 followers and it was growing every day. I shut that down because he would contact me through it. So even though it was growing and, I was getting a lot of people contacting me through that account, it was not worth the followers to deal with it. I shut it down. Just focus on you, because if they can segue in somehow, they will.
If they can sneak in, if they can be sneaky, or
if they don't have anyone else, if someone else, the new source of supply is broken up with them or gotten rid of them, or there's a saying, no one falls in love faster than a narcissist needing somewhere to live. So if a narcissist is homeless, you'll get that call again. So they're an opportunistic. Is that right?
No, you're right. You got. Hey, you speak better than I do. That I would have missed. Yeah, opportunistic.
If they have an opportunity, they'll get in.
Wait, Tanya's got. I got to put this up. Tanya says, "What did you say here?" Tanya says, "Door slam." So you got to slam the door. But it is truly something a person needs to really think about and put into action, to literally know that they're living either with, if they've moved away, they're living in a way in which the narc can get to them, either in the same house you're with them, or when you're trying to move away and move on, if you leave the door open, they're going to try to get in.
They'll get in if they get kicked out from wherever. Yeah, to cause havoc. Yeah, and to have somewhere to sleep, to have someone cook for them, or to have someone pay bills. Yeah, they'll just sneak right back in. So they're just leeches.
Yeah, and you can't change them. Another point you brought out much earlier.
It's nice to think we can, but you can't. You can't.
Oh, it's it's common, right? I mean, you're on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. A lot of people think, some people really truly believe that they can be the person to make that person change. I've met them. I've had many people talk to me, and then I hear later on, if I speak to them again, or they may post something, and they begin to recognize it's an ingrained, aggressive, chaotic, unrealistic attitude and behavior that many of them have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone else should change but them.
Yep. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's exactly right. And it's sad. Even having children doesn't change a narcissist.
No, it actually, in many cases, from what I'm hearing, it really makes it worse. Yeah, it makes it worse. Yeah. Hey, look, enjoy the rest of your day off. Everybody, on our regular shows, I play music. I often say I'm not going to do that on our podcast shows because we do them behind the scenes with no audience. Thank you, Tanya, for being here. And I love the door slam comment. That's good. And also, Tanya, you said something else up here, and I saved it. You said this right here, thank you for watching us on your Roku. Everybody, you all should do that. Watch us on Apple device or something. Watch it on YouTube. On your big screen. It's much better than watching it on your laptop or your phone. And you watched a beautiful person today who your boss is going to probably keep calling you until you answer.
Yeah, he'll bring,
Till you answer the phone. Answer the phone. So,
to ring him back.
I'm going to go ahead and play some music and put a little thing up. Could you do me a favor, please, my friend? Could you, I'm going to take you off screen, but could you hold on? And I want to talk to you one more time before you have to go. I'm going to play and close the show out, everybody. I am going to do it now because I said I wasn't last week Friday, and a bunch of you wrote me, and I don't get hate mail. And a bunch of you, not hate, but you let me know, hey, Paxton, can you please play something? And so I will. I'll play something on the way out for you guys to tap your toes to and not think about the narc. Stay happy, and I'll see everybody soon. We'll wave out to you guys, stuff like that. And we'll see you guys later. Okay, everybody? We'll see you. I'll see you in just a little bit. So listen, everybody. We're going to do this more often. We weren't, but we're going to be coming back doing more shows like this more often. Okay, everybody. They're not well planned. We just get on and do it live like we used to on Instagram. But enough of me talking. I'll see you guys later.